I wanted to make a video regarding the epistemology of proof and belief for some of my Facebook friends. But I'm going in for surgery in a few hours, at which point I'll be under anesthesia, and they'll intubate me, and I won't be breathing on my own. And so, in the event that I'm no longer among the living tomorrow, I wanted to make this video for them. Some of you have taken the time to watch my videos, to comment, and to engage in some dialogue. And so, for you, and hopefully anybody else who watches this may find it useful, there's a couple things I'd like you to know about proof and belief and my position on them. And the first thing is that knowledge about the world around us only comes to us through two types of reasoning. The first you've probably heard of already, it's deduction, and you most likely think you know what it is, because in a relaxed atmosphere you deduce something, you think, oh, I'm just thinking logically or rationally, when actually there's more to it than that. Deduction is the type of reasoning that goes from general principles to specific instances. It's a priori, which means it's before the facts. It's independent of observation and experience. And so this kind of reasoning doesn't rely on data or anything of that nature. It's totally independent from what we observe. And so it kind of goes like this. A good example, and this is just one example, there's many different types of deduction. But to keep it simple, one example would be, for example, all unmarried men are bachelors. Mark is an unmarried man. Therefore, Mark is a bachelor. That's how deduction works. And the neat thing about deduction, the good thing about it is that if it's properly formed, the conclusion is 100% follows. It's 100% guaranteed. There's no denying the conclusion in deductive arguments that are properly formed. So in that sense, you could say it's proof. Deduction is proof. The problem with deduction, and the downside of it is that all deduction is trivial. It's true by definition. They're tautologies in philosophical terms. And so you can't make anything other than trivial proofs with them in that sense. So you can't deductively prove something like God. It's not possible. You can prove that Mark is a bachelor, but that's trivial. We've defined what an unmarried man was, we've defined what a bachelor is, and we've reached our conclusion based on those definitions. That's a tautology, and all deduction comes down to a tautology. The other kind of reasoning is called induction. You probably have never heard of this, but anything that's not deduction is induction. And induction is the opposite, so to speak. Induction reasons from, unlike deduction, which goes from general principles to specific instances, induction reasons from specific instances to the general conclusion. The good thing about induction is that it is based on observation. It isn't independent from experience and observation. The bad thing about induction is that it's never 100% true. You can never say with 100% certainty the conclusion follows. An example of induction that's commonly given is, for example, say I'm a bird scientist and I study swans. And I spend all my life, I live 100 years, and I examine all the swans in my 100 years. And my first swan is white, and over the years my 1,000th swan is white, and then my 100,000th swan is white. And in my lifetime I study 1,000,000 swans, and they're all white. And so I inductively reach the conclusion, therefore, all swans are white. That's how induction works. The problem with induction is although it's meaningful, it's not trivial. We can reach meaningful conclusions, non-trivial conclusions, unlike deduction. In fact, it's the only type of reasoning that will lead to a meaningful conclusion about the world around us. The problem with induction is suppose I'm on my dying bed. I'm 100 years old, and I've studied swans for 100 years, and I've looked at 1,000,000 of them, and they're all white. And with my dying breath, I look out my window, and lo and behold, on my lawn, there sits a black swan. That's induction. So although induction is the only way we can reach meaningful conclusions about the world around us, non-trivial conclusions, it cannot be 100% true. And that's true for all observation. That includes, suppose, Michelle, I actually made this video for you. Suppose we're sitting in this room. I could not prove to you that the walls in this room are real. That's based on observation. It's a conclusion I would make based on reason, based on experience. Now, I might be able to give a proof that's 99.99999% probably true, but never 100. And that's where you get these arguments where maybe life is actually a simulation, or we're all brains in a vat. Those are legitimate, rigorous arguments, believe it or not. And of course, at the end of the day, when I'm done arguing that I can't prove the walls are real, you and me will walk out the door like anybody else. We never try to walk through the wall. So you're kind of leaving us in limbo here, Mark. What do you mean? So you're saying that we can't believe anything? And I'm saying, no, Michelle, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that belief is the wrong way to look at things. As a critical, honest thinking person, I don't have beliefs. So what's the proper way? What's the honest way? It's credence. What I do for anything that's inductive, I do what any honest thinker does. I apply a reasonable credence based on the evidence and the kind of evidence that I have available to me. I apply a credence that's in proportion to the evidence that I have. To apply 100% credence to something with near 0% evidence is inherently dishonest. And we live in a world where honesty is no longer considered to be a value, but it is for me.